Hello. So as you guys can see, it's only me. Can somebody let me know that you guys can hear me?
I do.
Yo, mysterious Diodore. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, great. All right, so we're a little bit early. I'll let a few people jump on here, and then I will get started. As you guys can see, I am flying solo here without Don. We'll talk about that in a minute. Don's on the chat board there talking to everybody, so and just okay, good. I'm glad. Looking good. Thanks, man. You know, I took a shower today, shaved. Yeah, so Don is not here because unfortunately our commander-in-chief contracted COVID and he is quite sick actually. And so he was unable to meet me in Lisbon and hopefully will be coming here on Monday. We'll see. But yeah, and he's pretty sick. He's coughing and stuff. So talking is not really working very well. So we were going to do a voice chat, but just decided that I would do the live stream by myself and we would talk about all the things that we need to talk about here. But Don is actually in the chat board there. So he's one of our viewers. And if you have any questions directly for him, he can certainly answer them there in the chat board. So I don't know what language that is. So we'll wait a couple more minutes and let a few more people get on here. You guys want to see beautiful my view here? That's Lisbon. Looking pretty good. I sit here at this table and work all day, so but at least I have a nice view. Okay, woohoo, go Dexi. Thanks, Chris. Like I said, we'll give it a couple more minutes and then we're going to go through and we're going to talk about some things and then I'll answer some questions. Obviously, Don is, as I said, is in the chat room or whatever you want to call that. So he can also answer questions if you have them for him. I see that Andrea is also in there and it looks like Nolly's in there, a few other people, some admins. So if you guys have questions for them, go ahead and jump on that. So, okay, well, and I'm in a hotel restaurant, so if it gets loud and you guys can't hear me, please let me know. And I'll try to keep an eye on the comments here. So let's talk about a bunch of things, but let's start with market conditions. So I'm sure everybody is fully aware of the market conditions. They're not good, right? So BTC is way down, ETH is way down. There's a whole bunch of stuff is way down. Obviously, we go through these periods and I get a lot of messages from our community and our investors and friends of mine and people, asking me, where's the bottom? Do you think we're in a bear market? I am not an analyst, so I'm not sure why anybody would think that I would have answers to those questions, but, we are in a volatile space and that, the market goes up and down. And, when Don and I first did our first live stream together in August from Amsterdam, I think BTC was at like 27,000 or something, or 28,000. So, and then it went all the way up to 67,000. So, the market goes up and down. And as I've talked many times on both live streams and also in the chat, okay, the path up, okay, does not look like that. All right, it never looks like that. It looks like this. Okay, and so there's going to be ups and downs, and the most important thing is to not panic, right? Don't panic and sell in the midst of the market crashing, right? Especially not, something that you hold that you believe in that has long-term value, like for example BTC or Dexi and Dexi gas. We aren't going anywhere, and the conditions of the market have not changed in any way our resolve or our conviction to continue doing what we're doing and developing. Okay, that has absolutely no bearing on the project itself in terms of what we are working on, what we are trying to accomplish, and what we are doing. So yeah, the market being down sucks. I hate opening up my my phone in the morning and seeing, all kinds of stuff down, and seeing the, especially the price of our tokens down, but also, friends of ours projects, things that other people I know are invested in, and, watching the large caps careen. It's not pleasant, but anyways, this is part of this. And what CZ says about this is actually the absolute truth. Okay. If you can't hold, you're not going to get rich. If that's what you're here to do, which I don't know why different people are here in the crypto space, but most people want to make money, right? You're not going to do that selling while everyone else is selling and buying while everyone else is buying. That's not how that works. Okay. Like Warren Buffett says, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. That means buy when others are selling and sell when others are buying. Now, I think a modification of that is buy when others are selling and hold when others are buying, especially in a space that's the kind of space that we're currently in. So, we are continuing our development process. We're going to continue to do those things, and nothing is going to stop us from continuing to work on the things that we're working on. Well, it doesn't matter if BTC goes to 10,000. That's not going to in any way stop, Ovi or Ben or Hamid or any of our developers, Tuan, any of those guys from continuing to do the work that they're doing and developing the products. Okay. So I'm getting some kind of weird message here. Can you guys still hear me okay? Can everybody hear me? Can I get a yes or no? Okay, good. All right. So I will answer questions. I think Andrea's probably organizing some of the questions that are coming through in the chat, and I'm sure that Don is responding to questions as well. So we talked marketing conditions. Again, I want to repeat for those of you that are getting on, the reason why I'm alone here, Don has COVID. He was unable to join me in Lisbon. He may be here Monday, may not be. We didn't want to try to have him on a call or on a chat because he's coughing. It's hard for him to talk. So I'm doing this alone. He's in the chat. If you have questions for him, definitely reach out to him. So let's talk about all the things that we have going on. So the first and probably most important thing that we have to talk about that I think a lot of people are focused on is the continuing development, especially of Dexi Hunter, but all of our applications, and the implementation of the economic mechanics of Dexi Knight. So let's talk about that first. Dexi Hunter is like almost done. So we are just implementing some of the functionality mechanics of the new UI. We added a whole bunch of new features. There's a whole friends and chatting thing and all this stuff. There's all these mechanics in there, and the development team, led by a guy named Jamil Qureshi and his team, they're all working on that and trying to bug test basically all those different mechanics. So we do have a small group of admins who are currently beta testing it, stress testing it, bug testing it. Once we get the UI mechanics implementations in there, we're going to bug test that, and then we're going to roll that out to some of our influencer friends, as we've already discussed. I know we're a little bit behind timetable wise. We really wanted to have that out kind of early January to those people, but that's development. We're developing things, so we're finding that there's things that are working and aren't working. There's things that we wanted to do that we decided maybe we didn't want to do. There's other things that we figured that we did want to do, and we're implementing those things now. So we're looking at probably the end of this month, and we're pretty excited about that. So once we get that out and we make sure that everything's working right, and then we can stress test the servers that's working on with a lot of users, we're going to implement more of the blockchain mechanics into there. Things that you can learn more about by reading the Dexi Hunter mechanics, economic mechanics document that I wrote a few months ago or a month ago or so. So we're continuing to work on that. Dexi Nights, we, in full transparency, we thought we would have the PvP functioning by now, and this is development. So what happened was, the way that we were trying to do that, it just wasn't working, and there was a lot of bugs in it. It wasn't working right, and we didn't want to roll it out and half-ass it. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So Ovi and his team, are very close to getting that functioning, working. One of our developers, his name's Eric. He's been, pretty much slowly working on that. Eric's also actually working on the prototype of the Dexi Dragons game, so that's cool too, and that's in development. But so we're close to adding that PvP function. What we're going to do is we're going to add some of the economic mechanics that I've talked about at different times in live streams. We're producing a document for people to better understand that, but we're going to kind of start with what we would call loot drops, ways for people to earn. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this before, and I'm going to talk about it again. A lot of the play to earn games that are out there are Ponzi schemes. They just are, just like the rebase tokens. Now, I'm not saying that they're malicious Ponzi schemes, that they're out trying to like take money from people, but the way that they're set up is designed so that the only way that it grows is if you have massive amounts of new incoming people pumping money into it, because there's not really any innate value in the mechanics of how things work, right? You can't just produce value out of thin air. Value has to come from the integration of either technology into something, making things more efficient, or has to come from human labor being injected into something, right? So, or both of those things. So we're working on a system that's going to enable us to compete in that market and what I would more call pay to earn, because that's really what's going on in games where you can, actually do well. You have to invest in those games. Axie Infinity, you're not going to get set up in Axie Infinity for less than like $4,000 or $5,000 and actually be able to compete in it. Not at this juncture anyway. So you're really paying to earn. And so what we're trying to do is a stable economic model that will allow people to invest their time and their money or their money into the game and benefit from it. So we're getting very close to implementing that stuff. And again, in full transparency, we thought we'd be further along with that than we are right now. We've hit some hurdles, and we're not going to roll things out that are not ready. We're just not going to do that. So that's what's going on with Dexi Nights. That's what's going on with Dexi Hunter. I'm sure you guys will have some more questions about that, and I'll be able to answer those things, or maybe they're being answered in the chat dialogue right now. So the other thing that we need to probably spend some time talking about, and I took some notes just so I did make sure I didn't miss anything, the migration. Okay, so there's been a lot of chatter in the Telegram chat about the migration, a lot of, I think, warranted concern. Okay, and when I say warranted concern, what I mean is that there have been a lot of migrations that have been done that have not been done well. Okay, and there's been migrations that have been done very well. Okay, so there's precedent for both things, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at but we're trying to look at a lot of different migrations, what they did, what worked, what didn't work, and make sure that we take the best of those things and implement those things into our migration. Why are we migrating? Let's start there. Okay, why are we going off of the Binance Smart Chain? So I'm not gonna. There's nothing wrong with the BSC. Okay, there's actually it's a good network. It works relatively fast with relatively little bugs, and it's relatively cheap. It's better than Ethereum or BTC in that regard, and it's a good network. I'm not going to knock it, but it's not a network that we can operate on and do all of the things that we want to do in the building of what we call our super ecosystem. What we want to do and what we are doing is we are building a integrated super ecosystem of games and exchange. We'll talk about Dexi Swap here in a second, and business to business and business to person relationships that is going to allow us to create our own ecosystem. Okay, and we can't really do that on the BSC. So we're building our own network so we can control the protocol, we can control the gas fees, we can control the network speeds, we can control who's on the network. Nobody's going to be able to launch smart contracts, whenever they want to, like you can on BSC. We're only going to allow approved contracts to be launched. We can do the thing that we've talked about in the white paper, and that I've talked about other times. We want to partner with businesses and allow businesses of all sizes to create their own tokens and launch them on the Smart Dexio network. And most importantly, and this is something that we haven't talked much about, but we're looking at very closely and trying to figure out exactly how we want to do this. We want to create shared liquidity pools. Now, something that Solana is doing is these shared liquidity pools. And rather than me trying to go into a huge explanation about this stuff, you should just look at what they're doing. And we're trying to take a feather out of their cap. I think it's super cool and really interesting and a great way for there to be balanced leverage, right? So that or companies can launch tokens and not have a massive investment, and leverage their position with other projects and businesses in a shared liquidity pool. Okay, this is I think an awesome concept. Now we're trying to tweak what Solana is doing a bit, and do kind of shared liquidity groups. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. But that's part of what we want to do with the Smart Dexio network. Okay, that's part of what we're going to do with the Smart Dexio network. So that's why we're migrating. We're migrating because we're building our own network. It's going to be exactly what we need it to be and exactly what we want it to be. And it's going to be something that we can modify and change over time to meet the needs of an ever-changing industry. That's what we're in. We're in a radically evolving industry that you have to pivot and adapt. And we want to have control of our own network to be able to do that. And we want to partner with projects and partner with businesses on that network, and create synergy that allows us to be more prosperous together. Okay, that's what we're after. And so migration, what does that look like? Dexi swap. Let's talk about that for a minute. So it's funny. Don warned me it was just going to be me talking, and that I was probably going to go really fast. But I would rather have him here with me. So it's more fun. But so let's talk Dexi swap and the migration. So what is Dexi swap? Dexi swap is a swap. It's a place where you can swap tokens for other tokens, right? Or swap tokens for coins. That can do pretty much anything that we want it to do because we built it and we own the code for it. So we can have it do whatever we want it to do. The primary reason for having Dexi swap is so that we can facilitate the migration of both Dexi and Dexi gas and all of the NFTs that are on smart contracts that utilize Dexi and Dexi gas over to the Smart Dexio network. Why does it have to be moved over to the Smart Dexio network? Because we're moving over to the Smart Dexio network and we can't interact with those contracts from the Smart Dexio network. I mean, we can actually. That's a complicated thing. There's something with wrapping and all this stuff. Again, this is not a tutorial video, so I don't want to try to get into too much detail. We are looking at the possibility of wrapping as a option, or potentially even the way that we do the migration, but it's unlikely that we're actually going to do that. So I don't want to talk too much about that, but it is an option that we're looking at on the table, and it is interesting. So the swap, want people to be able to log into a controlled resource that we have and swap very easily and simply the Dexi gas or any NFT that's on contracts paired with those tokens over to the Smart Dexio network. Okay. Now there's a lot of, and again, warranted fear about swapping and migrating. There's been, especially in recent weeks, some really negative news about different migrations. Okay, and so sometimes, and I'm not going to talk about those things, but there's definitely something to be concerned about there, and we want people to feel comfortable and to feel confident in what they're doing. And what we are working very hard to do is to make sure that the actual experience and the process of migrating your tokens from the Binance Smart Chain, from BSC, over to the Smart Dexio network, over to the SDN, is as seamless and simple and easy and safe and convenient as it possibly can be for all of you. And one thing I also want to address in this, which is really important, is that, again, there's been news in recent weeks about, some problems with the migration. We are not going to prevent people from migrating or create some kind of horrible situation where it makes people, interacting with the old contract have terrible experiences. Okay, if it takes people a long time, it takes people a long time to migrate. Maybe somebody bought Dexi or Dexi gas and they, it's in a wallet that they, have on an iPad that they threw in a drawer and they're not going to look at for another year. That's okay. And we don't want those people who are not on social media and they're not in the Telegram chat, they don't know what's going on, to go and, try to interact with their Dexi a year from now and have some kind of terrible experience, right? We are going to do everything that we can to prevent that. And one of the things that we're, very focused on is making sure that we communicate with as many people as possible to get the migration done as quickly as possible, but that we're not rushing people and that we're not creating some kind of situation that makes it impossible for people to do that. So somebody, saying, awful news. I get most of the time. Migration equals rug. We're not rugging anything, So it's getting a little louder in here, so I'm talking a little bit louder. But and actually, that's not true. There's lots of migrations. I mean, VeChain migrated off of the Ethereum network onto their own network. There's precedent, for that. There's lots of migrations that have happened for good reason. So we have to migrate, and we're going to do that using Dexi Swap. It's going to be something that you're going to manually have to do. You're going to have to take action to migrate your tokens, but that's okay. And we're going to make that as easy as we possibly can for people, and we're going to communicate that as clearly as we can. What's the time frame for that? We're looking at mid-March to start that process. I'm not making any commitments on time frame because one of the things that we're doing is we're stress testing this network that we've built, and we're playing around on the test network. We're playing around with NFT contracts in the test network. We're seeing what works and what doesn't work. We're trying to, basically we're building things and trying to break it. Like, that's how you stress test things. You build something and then you try to figure out how to break it. You try to figure out how to hack it. You try to figure out how to make it not work. So that you can fix all the things that are wrong that allow that to happen. So when your users use the products that you have, they don't do those things. Okay, so you try to find the problems, right? And that's the phase that we're at. And we may find problems that we have to work harder on solutions for. So right now we're looking at mid-March. Another question that's been asked is with Dexi and Dexi Gas, what's going to happen to the supply? So one of the things that is incessantly posted inside of the Telegram chat, I feel like to the point of, actually is kind of annoying, but is, burn. What are you guys burning? Because the supply is, is obviously, it's the supply is very large. And in order for us to, stand on stage with other network coins like Solana, Ethereum, those tokens, those coins, excuse me. In order for us to stand on stage, and compete in that arena, we can't have a supply of 500 billion. Well, the current supply, circulating supply, is 300 billion tokens. That's just not a rational number. So we are going to reduce the supply of Dexi. We are going to reduce the supply of Dexi Gas. What Don and I are talking about, and what the executive team and Don and I spoke about at some length last night, and then we had some conversations through chat today. We are looking at potentially doing a 1 to 1,000 reduction in supply of Dexi, and a 1 to 100 reduction in supply for Dexi Gas. Now, what does that mean? That means that if there are currently 300 billion Dexi in circulation, a 1 to 1,000 reduction in supply means that for every 1,000 Dexi V1 you have, you will get 1 Dexi V2. Let me repeat that. For every 1,000 Dexi V1, the Dexis that you have now, in the swap, you will end up getting 1 Dexi V2. And with Dexi Gas, 1 to 100, for every 100 Dexi Gas you have now, you will get 1 Dexi Gas V2. Now, we aren't confirmed on that, and we weren't 100% on that, and we're still, kind of toying with that, talking to people, looking at what other precedents are for that. But the immediate question always becomes, does that mean that it's worth 1/1000th, what it was worth before? Well, the coin itself is, but because the supply gets reduced by the same amount, that means that the market cap is the same, right? So you're going to get 1/1000th the Dexi, but that Dexi is going to now be worth 1,000 more. So let's say that, for lack of a better term, your Dexi's at 0.0001. If you have it 1,000 times that, it's then worth 1. So if you have 3 zeros and a 1, it becomes worth 1, right? I'm not going to go like into super math detail on that, but anyways, that's how that works. Okay. So the market cap stays the same, you reduce the supply. Now, I'm sure you guys have noticed at times on CoinMarketCap, you look on CoinMarketCap's like top gainers, and there's like, some top gainer has gone up like 600,000% or something like that. Obviously, that didn't happen. What they did is they reduced their supply, so the token price went up by that much. Okay, but the market cap didn't change. So that's for that. So just for clarity on that. And now again, we're not 100% committed to that, but that would mean that there would be 300 million Dexi V2 and 2 billion Dexi gas V2 in circulation. So why do we again want to do that? We want to do that because we want to reduce the supply to a rational number, attract more reasonable investment, more sophisticated investors, and kind of move out of the radical supply realm that we're currently in, that a lot of BSC tokens have. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the where we want to be on our own network. Doing what we know we with presenting ourselves in the way that we know we want to present ourselves. So that's that. And the last thing I want to talk about is marketing, and then I'll answer some questions which I think are being asked here. There's a lot of questions about Dexi Cash, so I'll address any of those questions here in a second. Maybe Andrea can start making a list of things that Don didn't get a chance to answer. Like I said, I'm in a restaurant, so it's a little loud in here, but it is what it is. So I've got my phone up, Andrea. So someone just called me a tall drink of water. Okay. All right. Anyways, sorry. So it's a little distracting. Okay, so let's talk marketing. We get constantly in the chats and messages I get, when marketing. Okay, so the traditional ways of marketing that draw in, your sort of common investors in the crypto space are not working anymore. That's like painfully obvious. Okay, it is working for some projects. I know people are always like, well, what about this project? They went up by 800% or whatever. Okay, so it's working for some projects. So there's some kind of, parabolic motion on some chart somewhere. But I can show you, 50 charts that don't look like that for every one that you show me that is like that. That's because that's where all the moon chasers went, right? And they're all piling in, FOMOing in, or aping in, whatever you want to call it, into some project, and it's driving that price way up. Well, that's what a pump and dump is. And actually, in a lot of ways, we just experienced that, okay? We experienced a radical, pump in the token price, and in October. And now we've seen, a radical decline. Numbers don't lie. We are down from our ATH by, 85% or something. I didn't check the chart today, but yeah. So that's not good. That's not something I like to see. And I don't want to, I don't like to hear about people. Nobody wants to hear about people who bought at the top and are looking at their investment at 85% of where it was if they actually bought all their tokens at the top, which would be pretty difficult to do. But anyways, so we're trying to avoid doing that. I'm not against having, nobody's against having, volume and price pumps in the chart. We're trying to make sure that we can sustain that growth, that we have the products and the systems in place to be able to sustain that growth. And the main thing that we need to do, and this is the really important part, the main thing that we know we need to do is we need to attract a different type of investor, not the moon boys and the moon chasers and the people aping in and people who think that they're going to like 3x their money in 5 days or 10x their money in a week or whatever it is that people are looking for. And that does happen. You hear those stories, but the vast majority of people don't do that. And for, those of you that don't understand how that works, for every one person that 10x's, in a week, there's 10 people who lost money. Okay, so that one person made out, but a whole bunch of people lost money. So, or at least lost value. They didn't lose money until they sell, right? You never lose until you sell. That's the only way that you lose. The value of your investment may be down, but you didn't actually lose anything until you sell it. So, it's important to emphasize that. But so what kind of marketing are we doing? Well, the Twitter is like just totally saturated, but we're trying to find strategic places to advertise and to work with, Twitter influencers, so to speak, people that I think have a reach in different mediums that also reach out on Twitter. We're trying to work with different international, people who are working on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all these places. The main thing that we're doing, though, is we're trying to create really sophisticated, intelligent content that then we can share through different media platforms. Like you guys have noticed that we've had some articles on Play to Earn Online, on Crypto Weekly. They've been fantastic. We've really enjoyed those relationships, getting stuff on Yahoo News, Yahoo Finance. And then we're currently in negotiations with Cointelegraph and CoinDesk to do some promotions with those platforms. We're working very hard to develop our presence on LinkedIn, which I think is a much more sophisticated place to be able to connect with and not just connect with new investors, but connect with people in the industry who are doing thoughtful, creative, worthwhile things, not just creating pump and dump meme coins or whatever. So that's where our marketing is going, and that's where it's going to continue to go. And a part of that is that we're doing a complete rebranding. Okay, so we're pretty close to rolling out parts of that rebranding. We're talking with a branding expert and helping us trying to understand a little bit better how to not just roll that out, but in what ways, how we want to message, and so we're making those adjustments. We're rolling out rebranding. You guys know that we're working on a new website. That's relatively close to being done. Part of that branding is going to be that new website. We have Dexi Swap. One of the things we didn't talk about is that we're building an entirely new wallet. We do love Dexi Wallet. It's great. We love it. But we've realized that in order to do a lot of the things that we want to do, we want to have a browser-based wallet, much like MetaMask, that has a login function, and then deploy that in its mobile version. Again, much like what MetaMask is doing, only a lot cooler, a lot more sophisticated than what MetaMask is doing. Not to knock MetaMask, it's a good wallet, but anyways, it's just not a whole lot to it, right? We're going to do a lot more and obviously integrate Dexi Swap onto that. So those are things that I didn't get a chance to talk about here, but let me finish about marketing. So we want to try to attract and connect with more sophisticated and thoughtful investors and people who are interested in long-term value, not just short-term gains, right? So, excuse me, we don't need to market to people who are looking for short-term gains, because the people who are looking for short-term gains, those people are going to see the chart going up and then they're going to ape into whatever project they're going to ape into. We don't have to market to those people. Okay. We don't need to, there's no need to market to those people. And most of these traditional forms of marketing, or at least the recent traditional forms of marketing that you see people doing on different platforms, are marketing to those very people. Now, yeah, you're going to get chart pumps out of that, but you're going to get huge dumps afterwards, which is, again, what we just experienced. We're trying to not have that. So we're looking at far more sophisticated marketing. We're looking at better messaging. We're looking at trying to create quality content that we can talk about the things that we're doing. And look, we're ahead of the game. We're like 7 months ago, Don and I were talking about having businesses launch their own tokens on the Smart Dexio network and trying to figure out how we were going to make that happen. And you know what's happening right now? A bunch of big businesses are launching their own tokens, their own networks, right? That's what's happening. Walmart just announced that they're launching their own token. I'm going to get it out, but there's a bunch of them that are doing this, right? Facebook is making this transition to metaverse. We are way ahead of the game. Okay, we are way ahead of where other projects, especially our size, are working on, but many other projects in the space, because we could see what was going to happen in this space and where the obvious opportunities were and are, and we're going to continue to move forward with that type of vision, right? We're going to look, where is this space going and where do we want to be in it? And where is the space going with marketing? It's going to sophisticated, thoughtful, creative content that connects with sophisticated and idea-driven investors. So that's what we're doing, and no amount of pressure from Moon Boys or When Marketing, When Binance people is going to change that. Okay, we know 100% without any doubt that is the right thing for us. We need to connect with the right people in the right spaces to share our vision, because once we share our vision with people, they're on board. Okay, but we need to get in front of those right people. And in a sea of nonsense out there, it's very hard to compete, with all the moon chasing, moon boy, type advertising. So we're not doing that, and that's what we're doing. Again, we know that the price is down. We know that the market is down. I'm not. We know these things. We don't need to be notified of it. And we know people have bought in high, higher than we're at right now. Maybe they don't have the money or the resources or the conviction or confidence to DCA those investments. I would strongly encourage that you do that, because that's actually how you make money in investing. But in any event, if you can't do that, I would strongly suggest that you hold. Again, you don't lose until you sell. And we just need we just need more time to get the rest of these products out. Dexi Hunter, get all the mechanics of Dexi Nice working. get moved over to the Smart Dexio network, be able to deploy tokens, partner with all kinds of projects to be able to have their tokens in not just Dexi Hunter, but in all of our games as part of loot drops, as part of the pay to earn and play to earn mechanics. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. I'm sure I could keep talking, but I'm not going to. So I think a lot of questions got answered in the chat, but I'm going to read some of the questions that Andrea has pushed off to me. Will Dexi gas have limited supply, or will continue minting? Okay, so first of all, we've never minted any Dexi gas. It's in the contract that we can mint it, and we never had any intention of minting it on the BSC. But we will have the ability to mint Dexi gas on the Smart Dexio network, and the reason for that is that is an in-game currency designed to facilitate in-game transactions for the blockchain. And if we have tens of millions of people using that, when we have tens of millions of people using that, we are going to need to facilitate that pool in order to create liquidity, okay, and B, in order to control price action, because it's an in-game currency. It's not designed to we don't want it to fluctuate in price radically all the time, because we want people to use it as an in-game currency. So we are going to reserve the right to burn and mint Dexi gas on the Smart Dexio network. Dexi will not be burned on the Smart Dexio network, and it will not be mintable. It will be the native coin of the network, and there will be no minting, there will be no burning, which is another reason why we want to reduce the supply to 300 million. So is there a strategy if we start a bear market, something you would do different? No, there's no strategy other than the strategy that we have to develop quality products and roll them out one after another one and create utility for our token, as well as create sustainable revenue streams, okay? What we know is the future of crypto is not just crypto-based, a crypto-based business model, okay? Anybody that's looking at what's going on with Walmart or Facebook, or even JP Morgan Chase has their own token in their own network, they're just not talking about it. The future is going to be hybrid businesses that utilize the resources and technology of blockchain while also competing in a fiat-based economy. Okay, that's what we're doing. All right, we're creating a hybrid business model to put value on the tokens in our blockchain network through utility and through our products and through our applications, as well as create revenue streams that allow us the flexibility to compete, not just in more industries and in more areas, but also to be able to compete in more regions, because we're not going to be able to have our games doing anything of any consequence in places where crypto is banned. But if we have versions of those games that allow us to have people playing those games where we can generate fiat in a more traditional gaming format, we're going to be able to compete in those markets, and we're going to use that revenue to drive innovation and product development that's going to continue to help the price of the tokens. Okay, we're a blockchain-based business. We're a blockchain company that is going to operate in the fiat economy because we have to. So that's what we're doing. Look into cable TV spots. Spectrum has a pretty affordable program. Okay, that's cool. I didn't realize that they were doing stuff like that, but sure, that's a good idea. When the migration to V2 happens, will we be charged tax to move Dexi wallet, and will 5% tax remain on the SDN? No, we're not going to have any tokenomics. We're still trying to exactly work out exactly how that's going to work, but there's not going to be any taxes to move your tokens from LBank into a wallet that you can actually connect on Dexi Swap. One thing we do need to be very clear is that we're not going to take away the we're going to stop new staking at LBank. There's not going to be any new staking, but we're not going to pull staking or people's APY from LBank for some time. And you will have to move your tokens out of the wallet on LBank into a wallet that can actually be connected to Dexi Swap through Wallet Connect, because there's no way to do that with your LBank wallet. And we're going to make sure that people don't have to pay any transactional taxes to do that. Okay. We're going to do our best to make sure that that's not the case. Okay, we can't stop people who, do things. We can't prevent people from doing whatever they're doing, but we're going to try to put measures in place to make it possible for people not to have to pay those taxes. So I hope that answers your question. Will people still be able to buy V1 Dexi when STN goes live? Just trying to figure out what will determine market price of Dexi V2, since I would think V2 could be bought on Pancake or LBank. Okay, V2 will not be able to be bought on Pancake. It will be able to be bought on LBank. I don't know what I don't know if I just said that wrong. It will not be able to be bought on Pancake. It will be able to be bought on LBank. It will be able to be bought on Dexi Swap, because Dexi Swap is Pancake Swap for the Smart Dexio network. It is the decentralized exchange for the Smart Dexio network. And then we're going to create some other avenues for people to be able to buy it. But primarily, our relationship at LBank is very good, and we're going to continue to facilitate that relationship. So your question is, will people still be able to buy Dexi V1? So the reason why people are able to buy Dexi V1 on Pancake Swap currently is because there's a liquidity pool there that has Dexi and BNB in it. So when you go and you buy Dexi, you take Dexi out and put BNB in the liquidity pool. When you go and you sell Dexi, you put Dexi in and you take BNB out. Okay, so that's the whole reason why liquidity works and functions, right? You have the token and then the coin that it's paired with, and that's, I could explain how values work and all that stuff, but that's not what this is for. The reality is that all of that BNB that's in there, is there to provide liquidity on Pancake Swap. And over time, we're going to move off of that. So we're going to leave that liquidity there long enough for people to be able to do whatever they want to do. And there's going to be some housing for that there. But the price of Dexi V1 is definitely going to go down over time. And people need to migrate to Dexi V2, where the value is actually going to be reflective of its value as it's paired on Dexi Swap, but also its value as it relates to its actual the order book exchange, which is LBank. So we're working on those things, but the price of those two things, they're different contracts, and they are going to disjoint from each other after the migration. So it's important to keep that in mind. The team probably have more stuff in business going on in their own personal life. My question is, how much percentage of your time and effort are you putting into this project? So Don and I both work for the project full time. I own a couple of other businesses and things that I do that enable me to, makes it possible for me to be able to do this. Don has some investments and other work that he does in a small business that he operates and enables him to do that. So we're fully committed to doing this all the time. As you guys know, we've raised money through some OTC deals. One of them didn't go very well, but anyways, and also through the private and pre-sale of Dexi Gas. So we have a kind of war chest of capital that we're able to use to pay all of the developers that we have that are being paid in fiat or in crypto and stablecoin or BNB. So we have resources to be able to build a project to where we need to, and we're looking at bringing on more investors. We're doing some work with our attorneys to do some corporate filings, and in those corporate filings is going to enable us to bring on investors in a more traditional sense that will be investing in the company, not in the token, Dexioprotocol. So I think that was it for the questions that Andrea pumped to me. And I'm not... Scott, OHIO, man, yeah. I'm not an Ohio native, so I just live there, so I'm not quite the enthusiastic, but I am a graduate of Ohio State, so there you go. Will there be a chance in LBank to migrate for our token like other tokens they did? No, there's not going to be any migration on their network, at least not right now. We haven't had that discussion with them as of yet. They know that we're going to be migrating to our own network and that we have to do a mainnet with them, which is going to be a complicated process, and we're still going to have trading for Dexi V2 over there. But as of right now, there's not going to be a way to migrate on LBank. But that doesn't mean that we won't change that. Okay, so they will migrate it. Maybe Don knows something I don't. Yeah. So as far as I know, we haven't actually had that conversation with LBank, so I'm not sure if that's happening or not. So, here we go. Nothing else has been. Everything else has been answered by Don in the chat. Actually, this was kind of helpful that Don was able to answer a lot of these questions. So, if there's nothing else, I just want to end this by saying to you guys that I know I speak for the entire team, which is very large. We are more committed than we ever were to building something amazing, right? We've already come a very long way. We're 8.5 months into this thing, and we have done so much, and we are going to continue to do so much more. Our commitment and our resolve has only become stronger throughout that process, regardless of market conditions or of the price of the tokens. Okay, we are in this for the long term, and we are totally committed to what we are doing and to building amazing products that people can use and bringing more people into crypto. Again, our vision is a world in which blockchain technology is mainstream and vastly more people are connected by it. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that we want to build things that bring people into blockchain, and we're doing that. And the Dexi Hunter app is a big part of that. Is our flagship thing. I know it's taken us a long time to get that thing out. We have been through so many builds of that, but we are trying to make sure that when we release that product, that it's going to be the most amazing thing that people have ever used. I think I think that we're very close to that point. And there's a few more things that we need to do in terms of, again, the UI integration and the mechanics, operations of the UI, but we're close, and it's going to be awesome, man. I just can't wait for people to see that and implementing the economic mechanics in Dexi Nights. We're very close to that too. The PvP option in Dexi Nights, we're very close to that. We have some really cool game concepts that we haven't even talked about yet. We're going to be building what we call a mobile app suite for games, kind of think Roblox, but for blockchain, where you're going to be able to directly interact with the new NFT marketplace that we are building that will be deploying the smart contract on the Smart Dexio network when we make that migration. We are 100% committed to this. I'm unfortunately in Lisbon, Portugal by myself, but I came all the way this way to be with Don, and unfortunately he was sick. So one thing I didn't even mention that I'll mention right now is that we are being interviewed by Breaking Media as part of one of 6 crypto projects that's going to be on a television show on RTLZ in the Netherlands. RTLZ and RTLZ 7. That's going to be streamed on Videoland, which is like the Dutch version of Netflix. I understand. I don't speak Dutch, so I don't have a Videoland account. But I have some very good friends that are Dutch, and they've told me that Videoland is the Dutch version of Netflix. So that's happening in Brussels, Belgium on the 29th. Don and I are definitely going to be there together. We're being interviewed by Marvin and his team from Breaking Media. We're super excited about it. We're going to be on TV. I'm going to be on TV. I'm on TV, Mom. We are not going to stop doing what we're doing. I don't care what happens in the market. Okay, it doesn't. We are not going to stop making awesome products. We're not going to stop spreading the word about Dexioprotocol. We're not going to stop, communicating and interacting with our investors at every level. We're not going to stop trying to do everything that we can to make sure that your investments are safe with us, that we're making something amazing that people can be proud of being involved in. I mean, one of my favorite things is when I hear people say, I can't wait to tell my kids or grandkids that, I was an early investor in Dexioprotocol. I can't wait for that either. Not just for myself, but for you. I can't wait to hear those stories. I know sometimes, like it can be rough, watching the price of the token go down and the market crash and all these things, but we are in the right place and we are on the right path. I am absolutely 100% certain of those facts. And, I, for one, am incredibly grateful every day that I get to wake up and be involved in and do the things that I'm doing with Dexioprotocol, with the people that I'm doing it with all of our investors and all of our wonderful people in all of our communities. And we have international chat managers and, Philippines, Indonesia, China, everywhere, Japan. Like, we have people everywhere, okay? And, Brazil, our Portuguese community, people here, actually live here in Lisbon, Portugal. This is a worldwide thing. We have people working in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Britain, the Netherlands, in Portugal here, actually, in the United States and Canada. We have Mexico. We have people everywhere working on this project, and we are super, super committed to what we are doing, and so are all of they. So, I can't wait to see what we do in the coming months. And, you know, I'm incredibly excited to be doing it and incredibly committed to doing it. And, you know, I know sometimes things happen in the chat. We get aggravated with people who are FUDing. The aggravation is not, you know, because we're being defensive. The aggravation is because we are super committed and hardworking. And, you know, you know, I won't name names, but somebody actually called us lazy on Twitter, which I think, honestly, that's the first time in my life that anybody's ever referred to me as lazy. You know, that's offensive because we are working super hard. And so sometimes we get a little defensive about that. And I get defensive about the devs and what they're doing because I see everything that's going on. I'm on the calls. I'm, you know, constantly, you know, talking about all the problems and hurdles that we face. And I'm with these guys, you know, they're up 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. They're up at 5 o'clock in the morning with me, you know, talking about trying to figure out what's going on, trying to solve problems, trying to innovate new ideas, trying to implement the things that we're doing. And we're doing a lot, you know, and, you know, that's not an easy thing to do. And so, you know, I get a little defensive about, you know, I'm protective of my team and the project that we have here. So, you know, don't FUD in my chat. Like, just don't do it. And if you FUD on Twitter, like, anyways, I know a lot of times people have, you know, good intentions too, and they're just frustrated. So, you know, voicing those frustrations is not a bad thing, but doing that in the right way is a better thing. So in any event, I think I'm kind of rambling now. We're 51 minutes into this. Unless there's any last minute questions from anybody, do you know who owns top 5 holders of Dexi that holds 17% of supply right now? I'm not sure that I know how to answer that question. The top holders, I do know who all the top holders are, yes. I'm not sure who has 17% of the supply. I don't know what that means. You know, we have some very big whales, and they are friends of the project. You guys are probably watching this video, and I appreciate you guys. They all communicate and talk to me. There's, you know, a lot of people moved over to L Bank, and they're collecting that 63% APY. But yeah, I am not concerned about our biggest whales. They are people who are committed to the project and long-term holders and don't have any interest in hurting the project or selling. So, okay. So unless there's nothing else, oh, I think he's adding up wallets to get to 17%. Okay. Well, anyways, I know who the top holders are, and they're committed to the project. So I'm not worried about, you know, our super whales dumping. And, you know, of course, Don and I are also, you know, part of that super whale situation. So, you know, we have 2 of the top wallets each. So, yeah, so if there's nothing else, you guys, I'm going to end this thing. I did not look through the chat, you guys, through the correspondence here, because it seemed like Andrea and, okay, I saw Scott. No worries, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, I have never once been referred to as lazy in my entire life. I'm sure of that. In any event, so if there's nothing else, you guys, I think we covered all these questions. And sorry, I'm getting messages that are funny, but I appreciate you guys. You know, when I tell you guys that I love you guys, you know, I mean that. I love everybody that is involved in this project, and you know, even people I get frustrated with sometimes, or you know, have to, you know, that I have to have a talking with. But in any event, I know you guys are committed and excited to be here. So hopefully, I answered all you guys' questions. We talked about all those things. When Don and I are together again, probably in Brussels, but maybe later on in the week in Lisbon, we're going to probably do another impromptu live stream together, so we can do that together. And we're going to live demo the Dexi Hunter app as it is. We wouldn't have been able to do that today anyways because there were some bugs that needed to be worked out. So maybe that's a blessing in disguise. But we're definitely live demoing it for the people from Breaking Media and RTLZ. So that's super good. Again, I'm getting funny messages on my phone. So I appreciate you guys, and you know, again, Greg Gould from Dexioprotocol. It's been nice and beautiful Lisbon, Portugal. There's a baby being pushed across the way there. Bye, guys.